Hey, Justin Parsons here with Titleist at the beautiful seaside course here at Sea Island. So I'd say when it comes to the teeing area where we could maybe experience those first tee jitters, and when it comes to the putting green where the closer to the hole sometimes the smaller it appears, that's really when you want to get into your pre-shot routines and have them kind of almost seamless. And you'll see with a lot of the best players in the world, those tee shot routines and the putting routines are really very, very clockwork. So off the tee, what I like to do is I like to get into space in behind the ball to make the correct decision. You know, in this case, we've got a nice doglegging par 4 here. I'm going to choose a sight line just inside of the bunker to the far side of the fairway. And then from there, if I can get into a position where I'm standing up nice and strong to it, looking straight down that target line. And for me, I like to make a couple of little reference points. There's a little cut line in this teeing area here. There's a little piece of the marsh there that I can see. Unfortunately, from my side here, I've got a navigation tower for the airport here. And if I could get on the left edge of that, that gives me a nice sight line. I'll walk in and I'll place the club in before I arrange my stance and my grip in, trying to place the club in on that. And once I arrange my stance, I can take my grip. From there, taking some waggles, 2 looks at the target, and now off we go. So that's a decent one, drawing down the right half of the fairway. I'll be in a pretty good spot. But if you can use that type of approach, going through the same steps all the time, it kind of, you know, it calms you down, it tricks your brain into understanding that if you can go through that process, really what the outcome is and the pressure and the nerves, that's not going to get to you as much. So as we talked about before, when you get a golf ball in your hand, it can make your pre-shot routine kind of more seamless, more repetitive, and somewhat simpler. If you're in a situation around the green, from the fairway, and certainly here from the bunker, we can see there's a big difference in the pre-shot routines. We have to get into a more creative kind of mindset. You'll see the best players walking up onto the green, taking a little look to see what's going to happen when the golf ball hits the ground, where they'd like to land it. You'll maybe even see them go out to the back of the bunker and make some of their practice swings out here. And really the word feel comes into it. You're really trying to feel what it is that you're going to try to do to the shot, how you're going to impact the golf ball, of course, from the fairway, how you're going to impact the sand. You know, and those of you with a slight fear of the bunker shot, I mean, the bunker shot to some degree is a little bit simpler because you've got a little bit more wiggle room with things. You know, we can certainly hit anywhere from 1 to 2, maybe even 3 inches before the golf ball and still have a pretty good result. So the pre-shot routine here would be done, you know, in a much more creative, much feelier sort of environment where you've got to get around to deciding what you're going to do with the shot. The one thing I would say that I see with all of the great players that I watch and I try to implement myself is that when you've decided what you're going to do and when you're ready to play the shot, I think that last look to the hole needs to be, this is what I'm going to do, this is where I'm going to leave it, this is the trajectory of the shot that I'm going to hit. So the last look within that pre-shot routine would still have that sort of feel attached to it, and then we can try and hit one out to a couple of feet. So although that one didn't go to a couple of feet, I was engaged in the shot, I'd come up with a good decision. My last look was all about what I was going to do with it. So even in this slightly more creative area, we had a good pre-shot routine and a fairly effective result. On the putting green, what you'll see with the best players in the world, that their routines are rigorously detailed. They do the same thing over and over again. Now, I have my preferences that I'm going to share with you, but what you will see that some players don't take a practice swing. Some players use a line on the golf ball. Some players will walk in and put one hand on the club. But what you've got to do, once you've decided what feels most comfortable to you, once you've decided, or maybe even looked at some diagnostics as to whether you putt better with a line on the ball or whether you putt better with a practice swing, you have to be committed to doing the same thing all of the time. You'll see that with the best players in the world, that no matter what it is they decide to do, they repeat it all of the time. So my preference, I like using the line on the golf ball. I like using the Pro V1X line for mine. And once I've had a good idea as to what I'm going to do with it, I'll walk in and place the line where I'd like to go. That gives me a good indication as to my starting direction. I always take 2 steps back, and I'll just take a moment when I'm in behind it just to visualize what's going to happen. From there, I'll spin the putter. As weird as it sounds, I've always spun the putter. Walk in and I'll place the putter parallel to the left. I'll take a little look down the line, take 2 practice strokes, and hold the finish on the second practice stroke and look down the line. And then once I walk in and line up parallel, eyes come back, and then let it go. We just fell off the left edge. Good putt, good pre-shot routine. I'd have been calm all the way through that, and that would be my preference. Again, your preference has to be what you're comfortable with. Once you've decided, try and make sure it's intricate in its detail and do it all the time.